Hey everyone, bonus episode. I hope you're super excited because I know I am. Are you?
Of course I'm excited.
All right, everyone who does not know, this is my beautiful mother, Lynn, and I cannot wait for you to hear her side of the story.
Hi, everybody.
Lynn. Yeah, she's the reason I'm here. Lucky you guys. So I'm going to start out. We're just going to actually have a conversation. This is going to be more of like an interview conversation type. And I just want to hear her story. I want you guys to all hear her side of the story. You know my story. You know parts of my story. And you're going to learn more throughout the month. But it's time to have my mom tell her side of the story. Because it's just as important, if not even more, to all of the parents out there that are going through the things that my mom and I went through. So, let's get this show started.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. So, I want to start out, Mom, by having you tell the story of how was it raising me when I was...
We don't have enough time for that.
Thanks, Mom. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. No, how was it raising me before the diagnosis? Like, what are some of the stories or what are some of the things you remember going through when we would stay up until 9 o'clock at night?
Sure.
So, yeah, just get that started. I want to hear your story.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, it was hard because, here I kind of felt like a single mom. Your dad worked until late in the evening and couldn't be there. So I'd pick the girls up from daycare and bring them home, get supper ready, and get baths, and then do homework. And while Krista was 3 years younger, she really didn't have homework at that point, but you did, and we'd sit down and start doing the homework, and the longer we did the homework, the more frustrating it became for both of us. I was really frustrated because you'd try to read, we'd have to read so many paragraphs, and you do anything you could not to read. And, oh, Mom, you can read that. Or, you would try to do anything to stay away from reading. And I didn't understand that. I'm a reader at heart. I love reading and have always loved reading. And to not love that was really hard for me to understand. The frustrating part, though, became when you would read a sentence and the same word would be in that sentence twice, and you'd know it the first time, but you wouldn't know it the second time. And I'd be like, Katie, come on, you just read that word. You know what it is. And for the life of you, you didn't know what it was. And I didn't understand that at that time. And I have a fair amount of guilt thinking that I really didn't understand and didn't know what you were going through, because I was pushing you, Katie, sound the word out. What sounds do these letters make? And you could not sound a word out if your life depended on it. And we struggled and fought and butted heads and cried. By the time we were even close to being done, we were both in tears, and your poor dad would walk in and go, what's going on now? I have no idea what your sister was doing. She must have been taking care of herself. But
Good job, Krista.
It was really, really frustrating and angering. And now as I look back and know what was wrong, guilt. I feel a lot of guilt over expecting something out of you that you couldn't give you, and I didn't know that, and you didn't know that. Mm-hmm. It was hard. It was every night was another. Here we go again, and we'd start out on a good foot, but it never ended up being good.
Well, and that's one of the things that I want others to know is that it's not always what's going on in school. It's what's going on at home. And not everyone, you can't see that. We can't blame anyone for not seeing that, but it is important because the struggles that we went through, and I still love this mother so much.
Thank you, Lord.
So, but it isn't just, yeah, Katie, you got good grades in school. Good job. You're doing fine. It's so much more than that. And it's really important. And I, again, just want to hopefully educate and inspire people to know that you got to look for different types of things. all the time. So
Well, and you were my oldest, so I had no one to compare you to. And, I didn't remember when I was growing up, when I learned these pieces of reading and when it really clicked, and, I didn't remember that. So I had no one to compare it to. Excuse me. Um, and the teachers, you always had great reviews. We'd go to school and we never missed one of the sessions where we could talk about how the kids are doing, and oh, she's a great student. She's a lot of fun. She works really hard. She's a great student. But they didn't understand what was happening behind closed doors, basically. That, yeah, she might be a great student, but the poor kid is wearing herself out to get to that point. And that was, I don't think I even realized it either until I knew there was something that was wrong or something different with the way she learned. That made such an impact.
Yeah. What made you, what was the turning point in getting me tested? How did that, and what was the turning point? I know you said something at one point about my sister.
Yeah. Well, she was 3 years younger than you, so she would have been in first grade. And when I found my younger daughter reading better and catching on to the reading cues better than Katie did, that was my indication there's something not right here. Katie was not dumb by any means. She was very smart, very creative, and I knew there's something that's not right here. But Krista came along, and I could compare her to something, to someone. And even though she was 3 years younger, she was picking up those things that Katie just never could pick up. So it was like, okay, here's an indication. Something's not right here. We need to figure out what it is. And that's when I talked to your dad, and we decided that we were going to get this testing done. I didn't care what it cost. It was worth every penny to know what was happening and what was going on. So.
And again, that Krista would have been in first grade, and I would have been in fourth grade when all of this had started actually coming, which makes perfect sense on why between fourth and fifth grade I was tested.
Right.
So, did you connect with any colleagues? Because I in the previous video I did mention you've worked at Gunderson for a very long time, and you work for a great healthcare institute, the whole thing. Yeah. But was there people?
I don't remember specifically that there was. We at work we have our work life and we have our home life, and at work we talk about everything. And I think we talked about the frustrations, and what we were going through. But I don't recall anyone in particular saying, well, there could be this. We didn't talk about dyslexia. It wasn't spoken about. That was 25 years ago. It was there, and I was pretty certain my husband had it, although he didn't share a lot until after Katie was diagnosed, because he was embarrassed. But we just didn't talk about that. I did talk to the teachers. I know every teacher, we met with them several times a year. We'd call them. We were constantly a presence, but they really didn't identify it either. And that was frustrating for me too. They had someone to compare you to, but yet it was something that was, I don't want to say unknown, but it was not as familiar as it is now.
So what is I always like to hear this because, again, I don't remember a lot of the day, but what was that day like from what you can remember? What was that day like for you on your side? They heard my side through you because I don't remember too much other than the visuals, which is really awesome to think about now because I'm a very visual person. I gotta tell this quick story. When when I was younger, we would get something to make a bookcase, let's say. We would get that, and my mom would have she'd get the instructions out. And my dad and I would look at her and be like, cute. Toss them in the back, and we just build it. So a very, very visual person. But what was that day like for you?
When the physician came out.
Well, anything. How did that whole day go?
It was a long day. It was a very long day, of course. I waited the whole day. I couldn't participate in the testing, and which was normal. But I was on the outside looking in, and I do remember when the physician came out to me. I can still picture him too. He was very tall. He had the sandy, blondish, grayish hair. Nice man. But I remember him saying that, I've only spent 10 minutes with Katie, but I'm certain she has dyslexia. Now we just have to find out what her strengths and weaknesses are and how do we move forward from here. But we'll get there. And as he went back in to work with Katie, I sat there and I thought, there is a reason for this. There is a reason for what's going on. And now, how are we going to get this girl through life? Reading is such a fundamental part of everything we do. How am I going to get this girl through life? What tools are we going to have to put in place to help her? It's crazy, but my thought was, she's driving down the road. Can she read the road sign? Can she read this? Can she read that? All of those thoughts came to me, and I was pretty overwhelmed, but also knew that at least we had a diagnosis. We had something to work with, and I was going to find tools one way or another, whether it was the physicians and the team that brought those to us or what, but we were going to make sure that you got what you needed to get through school and through life.
Let me tell you, she did. She is the strongest lady I know in the entire world, and there were a lot of meetings that were louder than we wanted them to be in the best way. Like, no, let's get this done. So no, that's really interesting. And then can you, just because this is like still like one of my favorite things, like, can you talk about when the doctor asked that one question?
Yeah, that we were sitting around a table, and I know you don't remember this, but it wasn't just him. It was the whole team of people you worked with the whole day. So, I mean, there were probably 10 people sitting at that table. Yeah. He was obviously directing the conversation, and I was just sitting there taking it all in. I kind of have a tendency to want to, always participate, and I knew this was your business, your deal, and I knew I couldn't jump in for you, so it was really hard for me to do that, but I tried. But for him to sit there and say, no, Katie, you've worked with all of these people, what are you going to tell your friends at school? How are you going to deal with that? And I was so proud of her, and when she sat there, I think of her as this tiny little girl, and I'm just going to tell them I learned differently. It didn't seem to faze her, and I thought, well, we've made that hurdle now. We can do this, because she wasn't going to let herself be thought of any less than. And the biggest thing in my mind was that we also have to teach her to advocate for herself. And I thought, yeah, we're not going to have any problems with this one. Mm-hmm. She's going to do that. And that was very comforting to me, to know that she could. I think she would be fine standing up for herself and doing what she needed to do.
I also want you to tell everyone publicly, so you can all know, how was I before diagnosis and then after diagnosis, like personality-wise, and the whole...
Mm-hmm.
She's going to tell you the story.
Well, Katie, as much as she liked being in front of the camera, this does not surprise me in the least bit. Katie was a very timid, shy little girl growing up. She was afraid of her uncles. Of course, they're big and loud and obnoxious.
But they're all super cool, so I don't know what my problem was.
Yeah, they were, yes, and are. But she wouldn't talk to them, and she'd hide behind my leg, and people would come up in the grocery store, and her sister would be yakking and talking, and this one would be hiding. She was just a very shy, introverted child. Until she had a diagnosis, until I think, and I don't know, I don't know what was in her head. Did she think that she couldn't deal with people because of why she couldn't read, or did she think she was less than because of that? I don't know. But when she found out there was a diagnosis, that there was something we could work on to make her learn easier and to work better, it's like someone put a quarter in her, and she has not shut up since. It has just never ended, as you can see. This is Katie.
A true statement, and it's funny because I just can't wait for everyone that knows me, that watches this, and when my mom just said that I was introverted, I am the complete and utter opposite of introverted in every way, shape, and form, other than I really do like my quiet time by myself sometimes. But that, yes, that is, which is so funny because, she tells everyone that story. So I just want all of you to know that too, that there was a quarter put in, and I never stopped talking.
She hasn't stopped.
Ever since. So, well, that's really honestly what I wanted to get with like the backstory and all of that stuff from when I was younger. I guess just quickly we can wrap this up with like how was it after diagnosis and then through school? Like what are the things that you saw change, and like not even just me, but like how I got help, or how did just that whole thing.
Okay, I get it.
Gotcha.
Katie.
Okay.
Gotcha. It was amazing, to be honest with you. The physician worked with the school, actually contacted the school, talked with them about Katie's diagnosis and what they might expect, and gave them what she would need as tools. Some of the tools were reading, instead of reading, to have a book on tape, to have someone read the test questions to her. That was a big deal because it's so hard. She could read it, but did she really understand what she was reading? Because she wasn't necessarily reading the right words either. So that was set up. To have her leave the classroom to take a test in a quiet place, that was very helpful. They weren't huge, amazing, life-changing things that we put in place, but they were the tools you needed, and they were simple tools that the school was wonderfully supportive of, and did a great job. To be honest with you, from that point forward, Katie was very much an advocate for herself, and she tried to get her stuff done in school. She rarely brought homework home. If she did, she knew what she was doing. I mean, obviously we'd help a little bit, but she became a fiercely independent person. And I think she was just going to make sure everyone knew that I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show you I'm going to do this. So it was like night and day. There wasn't the frustration. I mean, obviously there were some frustrations, but it wasn't the nightly chore of having to do homework and getting through all of this and crying. At least we understood there was a reason for her reading ability, and the tools that were in place made a world of difference. And she used those tools through college, which I just
Even
can't.
Today.
Exactly. I just can't say enough. Those few little tools that helped her out were lifesavers. Mm-hmm. But your personality changed. You became this extroverted, outgoing, non-stop talking person that just doesn't end. And it was pretty empowering to see what just that little bit of intervention did for you, not only just in your reading skills, and you have practiced and worked really hard, that you've actually even read books, which just warms my heart because that's my life. I love to read.
I'm totally a book on tape girl though, because
that's okay.
It's so much easier.
And that's okay.
Yes. But I'm gonna say something though, because this one over here, she likes to put a lot on me, like I was all great and everything, which is awesome. But she and my dad, but really a lot, my mom, pushed every envelope ever needed to be pushed, kicked down every door that needed to be kicked down, to help advocate for me as well. Yes, I did advocate for myself, but I learned from you and Dad to never let someone tell me. If they tell me no, they're like, well, okay, watch me, because I'm gonna go do it anyways.
It's true.
And but I do remember there were IEP meetings. There were things
absolutely.
like that were difficult. So I don't want anyone to think that this was like, Katie got a diagnosis, yay, life is easy. It was not. Again, I love my mom for being like, yeah, Katie did a lot like herself. No, this one did a ton for me and she's even done a ton for some of my cousins, other people in the community that have reached out to her, and so you never stopped. Like when someone said, oh, we're gonna do, you're like, no, we're gonna do it this way. So, and really pushed, and that's what I'm so grateful for, to have a parent, thankfully, that advocated for me, again, when I couldn't, and even when I could, and would step up and make those things happen, because it wasn't easy the whole way
of course
through.
It wasn't a breeze, but it
was easier.
It was easier, yes, because we knew there was a reason, there was a purpose for it, and you can do anything if you have a purpose.
Mm-hmm. And she, like, so having that different ability, being dyslexic, now when we are fighting with anyone about it, we can be like, no, this is what needs to be done. And that's something that's what has been super, super helpful for that. So that diagnosis was like key in everything, really. But I will, to kind of talk about real quick, and I probably will talk about it in another episode, but like, I just remember in school when you said you didn't know why, you know, or why I was so introverted, and specifically because you didn't know what it felt like, but I felt really, really stupid in school. When you see all your friends raising hands and, like, they understand it, or, and, like, I remember sitting and taking a test and seeing everyone around me get up, and I'm, like, freaking out because I'm still on, like, question 4, and I couldn't get it done, you know? So, like, so I would just go through and just crank out the test and seriously guess, and that's not good either. No. So, I feel like that, I don't remember any kind of certain feelings about being introverted, now extroverted, but, like, I just remember being, like, I just learned differently. Well, now that you told me that, but, like, learned differently, and then going on from there being like, what? I learned different. This is how I need to get things done. And I'm so grateful for a few very, very amazing teachers that helped me learn about my different ability specifically. And I'm going to call you out, Gina Dahl. Thank you so much for putting that class into play. That I had to take a class in high school with her, and we went through, and I still have that book. I should have it out here. I would pick it up and be like, here's the binder I went through to learn about my different ability. And that class completely changed my life. And it's all due to Gina Dahl, because she is the one that implemented that. And I am so grateful for her, because that literally taught every single step of the way of what I needed to do, what things do I need, and I started testing myself within these classes, like, hey, this, and that, all the things. And that was in high school, granted, and I had great teachers, so many great teachers, but Gina Dahl, and it's so weird to say your first name, I'm sorry, it's Mrs. Dahl to me, but Gina Dahl, you really helped change my life within school, and I truly appreciate you, because knowing how I learn differently helps me succeed now and in the future. This isn't just to get through school. That's one thing I try to tell people when we're talking about, I talk to a lot of people that are going through getting their child diagnosed, a lot, and the parents are so frustrated and so concerned, just like mom. And I drag her in all the time. My poor mom, I'm like, Mom, I need some help over here. So, but this is not just through getting the child through school. This is to get them through life. Like, everything I have, that IEP is getting me through life. If there are things that I need down the road, it's a law. Like, you cannot break that law, and you can try, but I'm not gonna let you. So that's just was really important. And again, having the right people, parents, guardians, aunts and uncles, anyone,
Absolutely.
Just any teachers that can help advocate for kids that can't do that themselves, because that was me. If it wasn't for her and my dad, I would not be where I am today. I 100% believe that. Granted, yeah, I know they birthed me, but
who birthed you? I'll have you know.
Sorry, Mom did.
Yes,
Mom did. But I would not be where I am today without my mom and my dad, and specifically this one, because you pushed so hard for me, and even Krista, through all the different things. But I appreciate you, and I truly appreciate you for doing this video. And I think everyone's gonna love this, because who can not love her? It's my mom, guys. Aww. She's the best. I love her.
I love you too, babe.
I love you, Mom. So, guys, thank you so much for watching this week's bonus episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you want my mom to come back and do some more episodes with me on all the things, I need you to tell me, because I want to hear it, which you better, because she's awesome. So I can't wait for you guys to see what's coming up next. And I hope you have a wonderful day. You want to say goodbye to my friends, Mom?
Goodbye, friends.
See you guys later. Love you all. And let's go out there and do less hate. Let's go motivate. Thank you so much again for watching this episode, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. See ya. Hey guys! Bonus episode here, and I cannot wait to introduce you to the one, the only, my mom, who birthed me, who loves me, Lynn.
Hi, everybody.
Yes! I love that. Yes.